Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'm honored to introduce United States Representative Sanford D. Bishop, Jr., co-chair of the Congressional Military Family Caucus. As a dedicated public servant, Congressman Bishop is unwavering in his commitment to military families. Please help me welcome Congressman Sanford Bishop.
Well, good morning and welcome to everyone to the 2023 Military Family Summit. And I want to extend a special welcome to my partner and co-chair of the Congressional Military Family Caucus, all the way from Spokane, Washington. She's had some challenges getting here, but she's here, and we just want to extend our love and a special welcome to you. She and I have worked so hard in support of military families. Today's event is part of the work done by the Congressional Military Family Caucus, which is a group that Kathy and I co-founded and co-chair with other members of the House of Representatives. Our work reflects two core elements that are embodied by Fort Moore's teamwork. You see, this is the first opportunity to have this summit since Fort Benning has been renamed Fort Moore. And of course, families taking care of our troops is reflective of the Moore family. While Congresswoman McMorris Rogers and I are on different sides of the aisle, we both want and fight for what's best for our military families. And we know that only by working together with our colleagues in Congress can this happen. We founded the caucus in 2009 because we wanted to make sure that our military families had a voice in Congress. The Defense Department has an annual budget of more than $800 billion, and Congress wrestles with major military questions, including personnel, in-strength, training, equipment modernization, force projection, in an increasingly complex and volatile world. But we can never forget that behind the machinery, the strategy, and the operations that keep our country safe and that protect our country's interests around the world are our military families. They are the heart of it all. This summit provides us with an opportunity to discuss the federal programs that are meant to meet the needs of our troops and their families, children. We want to know about the challenges that they face, how we can improve the quality of the conditions in which they live, how to assure that they thrive. This will help inform our work in Congress as we conduct our constitutional duty to fund our military and to oversee its activities. The theme of this year's summit is Together We Thrive, strengthening the resilience and enhancing the well-being of military families. We're joined by panelists from National Military Service Organizations, Veteran Service Organizations, as well as care and support organizations that work closely with our military families. We'll hear from service members and you, our audience, both here and joining us from across the country via live streaming. Although the 118th Congress is in its early stages, we're already hard at work to make sure that we do our utmost to authorize and fund the programs that are vital to the housing, the health care, and the services upon which our military families rely. We're fighting hard to build on the successes of the past Congress, a nearly 5% pay raise that we're providing our service members, and the basic needs allowance that was included in the FY22 National Defense Authorization Act which, starting January, is now helping military families who currently live below poverty with a cash stipend to assist them in purchasing necessities. Through the FY23 Military Construction and Veterans Funding Bill, we will expose illogical compensation schemes that provided perverse incentives for our housing providers, and we secured commitments from the Department of Defense to provide more effective management of the privatized housing program. Of course, as these are implemented, we must still be on the lookout for ways in which we can improve and fine-tune our programs and our efforts to meet evolving realities faced by our military families. This year, I introduced the Service Members Mental Health Improvement Act, a bill that would establish a task force within the Department of Defense to assess the efficacy of mental health services provided to members of the armed forces and to submit a report on its findings to Congress. We also helped introduce Healthcare Fairness for Military Families Act, which extends TRICARE coverage to adult children of covered service members who are under the age of 26 with special needs. And I'm a co-sponsor of the Basic Allowance for Housing Restoration Act, a bill that would set a basic allowance for domestic housing for uniformed service members to the cost that is adequate in the area where service members are seeking housing, where they're stationed, as determined by the Secretary of Defense. My colleagues and I have reached out to the Department of State, the Department of Defense, the Office of Personnel Management, asking them to address the employment challenges military spouses face when their families are ordered to change permanent duty stations. We're also working to introduce reintroduce the Equal Access to the Right Nutrition Act, the EARN Act. It's a bill that I originally introduced last Congress with bipartisan support. The bill would ease the burden that military families face when applying for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. The bill would also remove service members' housing allowance from their income when determining their eligibility for SNAP benefits. Few Americans are aware that food insecurity is a challenge that's faced by a growing segment of our military families, where older recruits with young families are challenged with lower pay, and they have to struggle to put food on the table for their families. Closing, I want to offer my sincerest gratitude for our military families, our spouses, and our children. Our service members draw strength and support from you. Military families are the foundation of the outstanding achievements of our military forces, from training through the completion of the mission and final separation from military services. Those sacrifices are things that many Americans take for granted. Being able to put down roots in the community, being there for all the important moments in your children's lives, and even just the peace of mind of knowing that your spouse and your children are safe and well provided for. We're very grateful, truly grateful, and you should rest assured that you have friends in Congress. We will fight to ease the burden that you bear as best we can. Thank you, God bless you, and remember that military families must strive, and strengthening the resilience and enhancing the well-being of our military families is why we are here today. Now it is my very, very special privilege to introduce my colleague and friend, Congresswoman Kathy McMarsh Rogers. She represents Washington State's 5th Congressional District, and she also serves as chairwoman of the United States House Energy and Commerce Committee. She's been a leader within the Republican Conference. She is a staunch supporter of our military families. She's married to a retired 26-year veteran Navy commander. And so when it comes to military families, the sacrifices they make and the challenges they face, it hits home for her, just as it hits home for me, as I am often reminded of how my wife grew up in a military family with her siblings and how they traveled all over the country from duty station to duty station, here and abroad, and how it was very difficult for them to establish roots and long-standing relationships. So their lives were challenged and different, and I understand that, as Kathy does. And of course, we're so happy that we were able to co-found the Congressional Military Family Caucus, and I'm happy that I've been able to work side by side with Kathy. We alternate hosting this summit here in Georgia and in Washington State at Fairchild Air Force Base. And she comes here and I go there, and we just have a wonderful partnership working with our other members of Congress in the House and the Senate to make sure that our military families are provided for. So with that, Kathy, please come and welcome to the 2nd Congressional District, but more importantly, welcome to all of these people, from all of these people in our area who join us in working to support our military families. Dean.